When I was a kid, my mother did holidays up big. And if you'd asked me when I was little what my favorite holiday was, I probably would have said Christmas. But as I got older, I really began to appreciate Thanksgiving. Our family would come from all over, not only the state, but New England. Cousins, uncles that we hadn't seen all year long would gather. We would have to put every leaf in the dining room table, and then every cardboard table around, multiple tablecloths to fit 25 chairs around the table. And then about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the ancient great uncles would come in the door, barely walking in with their canes. My grandfather had immigrated to this country from Sweden with his 5 brothers. All Petersons at immigration changed their name to Pete Peterson. So I had 5 Uncle Petes and Grandpa Pete all there around the table with their scraggly beards. And as the wine got poured and the stories just filled the room, I thought, Thanksgiving. Now, my mom would start preparing for this massive group of people at least 2, maybe 3 days beforehand. And in that she had 4 small children, she would put us to work because we desperately wanted to help. She became an expert at creating craft projects to keep us busy while she made the 5 pies. She was very creative. We would do customized place cards and placemats. We would make pilgrim hats for all the ancient uncles to wear during dinner. We had papier-mâché cornucopias. We had turkey salad, which was actually a half of a pear with sliced carrots to make the turkey's tail, a piece of celery for the long neck, and a pecan on top, and you could almost hear them gobble when they were there on the table. Meanwhile, she was busy peeling all the squash and the potatoes heaped with butter and the little pearl onions and the peas and the cranberry bread and the pumpkin bread, and we were just busy making our crafts. And then, of course, the turkey. Now, she had thought that in order to have a very moist turkey, it needed to cook long and slow. So she would put it in the night before at 200 degrees, but it had to be basted every 2 hours, which meant she got up at midnight, 2, 4, and 6 before feeding 25 people in order to baste this turkey. Now, you would have thought that this would be the centerpiece of Thanksgiving, but I am here to tell you, no. The most important part of Thanksgiving, you probably know, it's the stuffing. Now, the stuffing needs to be made very carefully. It's not just breadcrumbs and turkey's juice. There's the sausage, but then the secret ingredients, apples, nuts, apricots, and the most secret ingredient of all, bourbon. Just the right amount of bourbon. Now, people love my mother's stuffing so much that to make just that amount that fit inside the turkey would never have done it. So she, somewhere early in her marriage, went out and bought a really big, beautiful clay stuffing bowl. It only came out once a year at Thanksgiving, and as she pulled it out of the basement, it almost had that smell of Thanksgiving just to get us salivating before things happened. I loved this bowl so much that when she went around and asked each of the kids as she was older what we wanted from the family, all I wanted was the stuffing bowl. But what I didn't realize is that if you got the stuffing bowl, you also got Thanksgiving. So there I was several years later with 4 little children of my own, and I realized how brilliant my mother was to have crafts, because all that help makes a very long day. We did the placemats, the place cards, and then I got the brilliant idea, tie-dyed t-shirts. I bought each of my 4 kids 5 white t-shirts, 1,000 rubber bands, so they each had 250 that they had to wrap around 5 t-shirts. In addition, I got 12 boxes of Rit Dye Royal Purple number 12. And when all those shirts were done at the end of the day, we filled the sink with boiling water and as many boxes as we could put in, and let them soak. However, all those shirts didn't fit in the sink. And I thought, how are we gonna get all these shirts done? And then I remembered the big clay stuffing bowl. in the shirts went, in the boiling water, and another 6 boxes of Rit Dye Royal Purple number 12 to sit for hours. Oh, I didn't know. When all was said and done and put away, I stayed up late that night and made the stuffing and put it in the fridge. And in the morning, I had 4 children with purple hands in their purple shirts and purple stuffing. Have you ever seen a purple apricot? It is not pretty. But I had to serve it because if you don't have stuffing, it's not Thanksgiving. But then, of course, I'm afraid I'm going to kill them. So have you ever noticed on Thanksgiving Day at the top of the newspaper there's a poison control hotline? Did you ever wonder what that's for? I always did. But thank God it's there. I called poison control. And when they stopped laughing at me, they had to do some research because they let me know they had never been asked this question before. They let me know, you won't kill anybody. It might not taste great. I can handle that. I've got bourbon. But go ahead and serve it. So what we realized was that in order to pass this off, what we needed, in fact, was a really good story. So we sat down and we thought about it, and of course, it all made sense. Traditional Thanksgiving, Pilgrims, Native Americans, grapes. Lots and lots of grapes added to the stuffing to give it that purple tint and hue. This was the most traditional Thanksgiving, in fact, we've ever had. And so as the great uncles and aunts and cousins came in the door that Thanksgiving, there were my 4 beautiful children with their purple hands, in their purple tie-dye t-shirts with one for every guest. And as we served our purple stuffing, we were sure nobody had a clue. Except that next year when my great aunt said, "Are you going to serve that purple stuffing again?" And then I thought, well, you never know. Come and find out, because at the holidays, there's always a surprise.